talking peace over power with the power of
GWPOP Talk. Are you ready to talk?
Welcome to GWPOP InTentTalks. Yes, our intentions are good, and yes, we're literally talking in a tent. We're here today to talk face-to-face with some of the people in South Park, today in Hermosa Beach, on various subjects such as music, health, food, social media, and most of all, peace. Hello everybody, my name is Peter Mackinnon. I'm here with Simon and Ethan, and glad you guys were able to join us, even though and on YouTube, I'll see you there. Today our topic is family life, and how it has shaped who we are today. We'll talk about how family life affects society and the social graces of the people within it.
Well, of course, I was born into a family. But I would have to say now, even though some of those family members are dead and gone, and others, I'm now the patriarch of my own family. Luckily, I live in America and they're all in England. That's lucky for me. But I would consider now that what I consider my true family is actually a community in which I'm involved. Back in San Paulo. And it's like I think of them as my tribe. And frankly, I did not think, other than one member of my family, blood family, I did not think of them, even as a child. I felt that really I belonged to somebody else, because we seemed so different. And to be frank, my parents were somewhat indifferent to us anyway. Children. They had their own problems, and they sort of dominated their experience. So both my parents were very narcissistic, and that made for a less harmonious household, perhaps, than one might have wished for. But one does get what one gets.
Yeah.
You have to make the best of it, which I think I have.
You dress better than me, so I'd believe it. Now, do you think? Well, actually, before I get into that, Ethan, why don't you go ahead and explain what you think?
I think there's two aspects of family. One is the genetic aspect, obviously, like relatives, grandparents, brothers, sisters. I think the second aspect is deeply experienced life.
Yeah.
You know, because I have, for example, cousins, uncles in Ohio that I've never even talked to. They're my family, but I don't know them. You know, I don't really talk to them at all. I consider, I'm in a band. My band members are my family. People you go to church with, your family. People you go to school with, they can be your brothers and sisters. You've known for years. So I think I would consider that family, people that you grow with, and share experiences with.
And to kind of talk about the relatives that you have in other states, when did you decide that you wanted to move towards, let's say, your band, for example, where you found more common bonds with those people than?
Well, that was really the only rational option. I've moved all over the country close to 20 times, and I, visit them once in a while. They're very volatile, neurotic family side of my family. They're not doing well. But, like the drug addiction in Ohio, Midwest with opioids. It's claimed a lot of their lives. It's very volatile, kind of a chaotic area. So my family has kind of kept me away from them. So I really had no other option. So I went to the band. I went with, intellectual groups I hang out with, people in school. So those are the people I consider my family.
I was happy at home until I was 3, and after that things changed. And I can remember happy moments up to 3, sporadically. I don't remember everything, but a number of things. And then after that, I was troubled. And by the time I finished college, I got on a plane and went to Egypt, and I never really went home again. I was 21 years old.
So it was essentially access to the ability to get out, and had you done any trips like that before where you can kind of experience and learn?
I had been on trips with the one member of my family, my father's mother, who I adored and was very loving. I never went on vacation with my parents, ever. They thought that would not be a vacation, to take their children on vacation. It would be the opposite. So my grandmother would take my brother and I on vacation to Switzerland and Italy every few years. So I had that experience. I like the idea of experiencing other cultures. But to be frank, when I went to Egypt, I was running away. I didn't want to be around my family. I didn't want my family to know what I was doing. As Ethan mentioned, we had problems in my family. It was alcoholism in my case, and it's killed a number of my family. At the time, I was an active alcoholic, and I wanted freedom to kill myself, at large. And luckily, I didn't. But that was the idea. I didn't want to feel that anyone was watching. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I could disappear into the bush in Africa.
On that note, I've grown up here essentially in the South Bay my entire life. This is half of my family right here sitting. I was surrounded by the same people from kindergarten to 8th grade through high school. So anytime I needed an escape from something, I had people that I considered my family. I use that term very openly. I have a lot of people that I know throughout every aspect of being in the city. Even like you, my father grew up. My grandfather was a Navy guy, and so he was moving around all the time.
Navy too.
Navy as well.
Yeah, Navy. Aerospace and defense.
Cool. What years was it, like literally from your first memories that you were moving around, moving places?
I moved first time I moved. I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And that was in Wisconsin. Then I moved. I did first half of kindergarten in Wisconsin, second half in South Carolina. And that's not a good idea for kids. It's probably not the best idea to do that, but that was fine.
Do you, now looking back on it, do you appreciate the switching of scenery?
It's bittersweet. I kind of get jealous of people that have the ability to develop fully in one area and know their area, know the people they've known for years and grown up. I don't really know that. I haven't known friends for more than 10 years, more than 5 years. And usually when it gets to that point, I leave. I go to a different state. So I'm kind of jealous of that, but also, I talked to you earlier about when I went to Europe for 3 months.
Yeah.
That was a breeze because I'm so used to adapting to new situations.
Right.
So it's like it's pros and cons to everything. There's no negative or positive. It's all mixed together. So I don't really regret moving. It's just positive and negative of both.
Right. I consider myself very lucky to have grown up here. When I was 7 or 8 years old, we got the internet in our household for the first time, and I used that as my window to the world. I was a nerd on the computer playing games, and I was able to talk to people on different countries, different parts of the planet that I never had conversations with before. And it was really eye-opening experience, and I really dove straight into using the internet as my escape in a sense. It was really beneficial for me to kind of see that and have the home base with all friends and family all around.
Well, of course, when the internet was invented, I was 45 years old, so very different experience.
Yeah.
I know that if I had not left England when I did, I would not have survived. I know for a fact. I didn't know that then. I wasn't cognitively aware of it. But looking back on it, I can see that it was essential for my development and my survival. Essential. And I have no regrets whatsoever.
Moving on to a different part of this question, how do you guys think family life affects society? Whether it's the specific to the person and what that person then goes and becomes or does with their life, or how it affects it in a broad sense when it comes to, let's say, politics, or that's a hot topic right now. How it affects community to begin, and then maybe society to become more broad.
Earlier, you said like family configurations. I could absolutely see that. Your parents, you kind of become a piece of your parents, whether you like it or not. You don't really have a choice. For example, it's weird for me because my mother is conservative, my dad is more liberal. You take us to Bernie Sanders rallies and things like that, while my mom would be voting for Donald Trump. So it's a weird divide in my family at times. So it definitely played a role of how I view the world around me and how I view people having maybe adversarial relationships in different parts of society. But I think parents should know that they have great duty. You're bringing somebody into the world, and they're going to listen to you because you gave them physiological, dependence and independence, and you helped them through all these impediments through their life. They look to you for the most part. So you should be aware of how vulnerable this person you're raising is, and not try to implant ideas into them and said, teach them how to think.
So they encourage you to become a free thinker, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think every parent should. I don't think you should indoctrinate anybody ever into something, and you should at least wait till they're, in their teens, maybe till they're an adult, until you start trying to ask them these questions. Because when you're 5 years old, you don't know. What do you know? You can't tell somebody. For example, they'll say, "Oh, these people with this skin color are bad." When you're 5 years old, you might believe it.
Yeah.
Because what else could you believe? You're being told this by somebody that you've been born with, or that has taken care of you your whole life. So it's difficult. Especially when it comes to political opinion. It gets really touchy and really complicated how to deal with children in that sense.
I am somewhat suspicious of traditional family values, in the sense that I think, in my own case, and I think from people I view myself, the importance of family, when family can be overvalued, I'm talking about blood family, I believe it is essential for the good of the human race for us to consider everybody on the face of the planet. And I personally believe that too often people have children because they want to replicate themselves, and that really concerns them. In my own case, I'll give you an example. My father was married twice, my mother was married 4 times. There are 7 or 8, siblings. I have one full brother from the original marriage. Neither of us have children. We're both in our 60s, and I want to assure you that the reason that we don't have children, both of us, is because of the way we grew up. We were traumatized in different ways. We had different experiences, but nonetheless, the result is that neither of us wanted to have children. My other siblings do have children. I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just saying that's a fact. And I have always believed that family should be extended to include everybody, and not be a sort of, let's keep up with the Joneses type thing. I think it's all nonsense, social handicap.
And because you don't have any children of your own, but your other brothers and brothers and sisters do you try to look to them, to their children, to maybe instill some knowledge or insight within them?
When I see them, but I don't see them, as a matter of fact, I have 4 nieces between the ages of 15 and 25. I don't see them that often. But I have relationships with many children, other people's children. And I value those things tremendously. I do whatever I can to foster those relationships. I mean, it's funny, it's like my girlfriend's mother is 98, and she is always saying it's wonderful to see all these young people. Well, I want you to know, I'm 67 and I'm beginning to talk the same way. Oh, it's so great to be around. I think that myself. And it is. It's rather like I had a couple once, old friends of mine, both of whom are now dead. Towards the end of their lives, they would bond over going out of their house in London to look at babies. That is what they did, which I thought was sublime and such a beautiful thing to do at the end of your life, to kind of celebrate new life.
Right.
Any new life was a wonderful thing. I always admire.
I just met you earlier today before this conversation right here, and I really got that sense from you that you like to really involve yourself in meeting a new person and talking to them, and whether the conversation's light or heavy, you dive in head first. It's a good quality to have. I've learned to develop that myself. I had a problem really engaging with people for a couple of years, and I'd like to say I've developed past that, but it's definitely from one family or a group of friends. It's definitely because of that. Switch gears a little bit. What are some of your guys' favorite memories? And I should say that you guys can have a question or raise your hand to interject at any time. for me, it was literally growing up here at the beach. My father was a lifeguard for 34 years, and so I got to go surfing, and my daycare was in the sand, covered in sunscreen. It was a really good way to respect the earth, the planet, and I learned to not get as sunburned as I potentially could.
My own best memories almost invariably center around the animals we had in my family. Absolutely adored animals. We had a lot of them. A lot of horses, a lot of dogs. My mother, who was a very odd woman, really rather frightened of people, had a tremendous gift with animals. They just came to her. I mean, I'm talking wild animals would come out of the fields to be with her. And she was actually a lot more comfortable with animals than she ever was with people. And I'm not sure that's true of me. I think rather like you, I've developed the capacity to be able to talk to people in a shooting gallery or in a palace.
Yeah.
I mean, people are people. But my earliest best memories are unquestionable with the animals we shared. The animals unified us as a family, that's the point. The other thing that I remember that was phenomenal is at one point in my childhood, we all had stilts, and we used to play soccer on stilts. We were actually very good at it. You got good at it. Every Sunday before lunch, the whole family would get out. There would be 6 of us, all on our stilts at different heights. I mean, some of them were 6, 8 feet high, others were lower, and we'd play soccer on the lawn. And that was another great unifier. You know, it brought us together. The memories that brought us together stand out for me more than anything. And I have to say, in honesty, they were fairly rare for me.
So you cherish them when you
I do.
Ethan, what are some of your favorite memories growing up?
Probably my father. He exposed me to a lot of aspects of art, literature, music that made me who I am today. Primarily, for example, buying me a guitar and exposing me to artists like Frank Zappa, Miles Davis, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, which I never heard of. And I don't think I wouldn't have heard of him if it wasn't for him. You know, he would turn on the TV and say, "Ever heard of this guy?" Nope. All right, here's a whole album. You know, and that would be a catalyst for my musical interest in the future. Along with books, you know, he would expose me to Friedrich Nietzsche or J.D. Salinger or Jack Kerouac. I never heard of these people, you know, and he would say, "Here, read these books, you know, and tell me what you think about them. And let's have a conversation." You know, and that's a great thing to do for children, especially. I was briefly teaching music to children, and teaching about a little bit about computer science, and that's the time to do it. You know, at that age, 5, 10 years old, you know, you tell them one little thing, you show them a piece of music, or you show them computer science or mathematics. That's a catalyst, and that might make them who they are in their 20s and 30s.
If we were meant to be alone, there wouldn't be other people around.
Perfect,
And
yeah.
it's as simple as that. We're here to get along with one another, and it's work worth doing.
Go GWPOP.
Go GWPOP.